second service people can eat. Okay. So come early and help prepare for Baba next week. Okay, today again we are continuing with the family pledge number 2, and as you heard from the reading, we say in family pledge number 2, we say that we pledge to represent and become central to heaven and earth. And how do we do that? Forget about that. We just listen that. We just heard. And for our guests who are attending today, this family pledge is something our members every day, or at least supposed to be, every day we are pledging in the morning. It has 8 different pledges, and we are pledging in front of God, saying that we are practicing these ideals. And sometimes this pledge is an encapsulation of big ideas which we need to understand very thoroughly, and that's why we are doing it as a sermon series. And here we are pledging that we pledge us to represent and become central to heaven and earth by attending Heavenly Parent and True Parent. Am I right?
Yes.
We are pledging that by attending Heavenly Parent and True Parent, we will become central to heaven and earth. And also we will represent heaven and earth by attending Heavenly Parent and True Parents. And how do we attend Heavenly Parent and True Parents? Any idea? Any suggestions you would like to give me? Pardon? Witnessing, that's one thing. Very good thing.
Whatever we do in life, that we would feel like God would approve of.
Oh, that's really great. Yeah, that is kind of really great way of attending God and True Parents. And as a child, the first time when I think about attendance and the first thing comes to my mind, in my school, we had an attender, and his job was to attend in the that time I didn't even understand the meaning of that. I know, he's our attender, his name is Abraham. He is our attender of the school. Mainly what he was doing is to stay with our headmaster, and usually he has a small table outside of our headmaster's room, stay there, and whenever the headmaster called, he would go in, and then he would, whatever headmaster need to help, sometimes it is just getting a coffee for him, sometimes passing these headmaster's messages to other teachers, and be available all the time for him. And I remember headmaster had a small table bed. He ran time, then he ran into his office. That was my first encounter about this attender. And another one I remember when one or two times a year I go to my mother's home, which is around 40 miles away from my hometown. Then actually in my mother's home, they had a building they rented to a car repair shop. And that car repair shop has a master technician, and he has many attendants there. And I remember they also use that word. Otherwise, English words are not so common for us to use when we were with young kids. But with those people who were attendants to this master technician, I always noticed that they are always there. This master technician is very good technician. He repairs car engines and everything about any kind of smaller vehicles. Then these attendants are always there to help him. Sometimes I notice when he takes out his hand, he knows, the attendant knows what he needs. Without even asking, he would provide the tools he needs, because he's totally looking where what nut he is going to open already know in his mind, and he's passing over to this master technician. And one thing I noticed, this person who is in school, he is there for all the time until he retired. He's doing same thing and his whole life. But the other people, whenever I go there next year, I don't see them. And one time I asked him, where are the other helpers you had? Then this master technician told me, oh, they all learned and then they went away. Some of them are working as technicians, some of them start their business. And so it is, they were truly learning. And then recently, after joining our church, we learned a lot about attendance, isn't it? At least we hear a lot about attendance. Then we pledge about this every day. Then as we think more about that, what does that truly mean, attendance? Sometimes when we look at the meaning of the word, it is actually being there for a person and being available for the master we are serving or attending. Many times, the meaning of the word attendance is kind of very synonymous to serving or being almost like a buying. For me, when I was young, attendant means a person who buy tea or buy this simple task, fulfilling simple task for the master and being available for him all the time. But when we do this pledge, what is that attendance, heavenly parents and true parents needs? We cannot be there physically, isn't it? All the time we want to be, I know, all of us want to be with true parents all the time. Physically there to be available for them whenever they need us. But we know it is not possible for us to physically available all the time there. But all of us had some opportunities to be there physically. I know most of you who joined here in America, you had so many chances to be with true parents. But now, none of us have that opportunity to be there with true parents all the time. And with God, actually we cannot be there physically with God, isn't it? And so, what do we do for attending? Then what are we pledging every morning? Saying that, God, we pledge that we will attend to you and we will really be with you, be with you every time, and we are going to be one with. We are going to represent Heavenly Parent and represent true parents and God, and also we will be central to heaven and earth by attending you. When we do that, when we say that every morning, I can absolutely see that attendance is not about being physically present there. Isn't it? Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Do you think so?
Yes.
Because we can't be there. And then, what does that mean by attendance? And I believe that attendance, true Father talk about, our God demanding from us is something beyond our physical presence with them. Physical presence with true parents. It is beyond that. And it is about inheriting what we had, inheriting the vision and mission of true parents. And I feel like sometimes it is very similar to what those young people who were being with that master technician who was preparing car engines, and by being with them, by being with that master technician, these young people, they are learning how they can fix a car, how they can fix a car engine which cannot run. And even by being with them, they are able to totally one in heart. That's why they were able to give them sometimes tools he needs without even that car technician asking them. That is a kind of artistic And that will be the biggest attendance we can offer to God and true parents. There is no more attendance than we inheriting their heart, than we inheriting their vision. Once we do that, wherever we are, wherever we live, we may be living in a faraway country. We may not be able to attend Sunday service, or we may not be able to attend any church gatherings. But if we are totally one with God and true parents in our heart, we can really attend true parents. We can truly attend God by fulfilling the mission they given to us, by fulfilling the vision they had for the world. In Philippians 2.2, I read recently, it's a great message from great Apostle Paul. He wrote, it's from Epistles to Philippians 2.2. It says that we complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind. This happens in the very beginning of Christianity. Apostle Paul was sending this letter to members of the early Christian church. And he said, what God really wanted from those early Christians is that really being one in heart, being of the same mind, think the way God think the way Apostle Paul would think, and having the same love. And today's songs also we were singing about that. And being in full accord and of one mind. And that is what God wants. Not just today, and for all throughout the history. This is what God wants us to fulfill. And when we are not able to, when we say we, as humanity, we are not able to fulfill that, God again and again reminding us. And God again and again reminding humanity through different stages and saints. And again, Messiah coming back and talking the same thing he spoke 2000 years before. Being one in heart with God, being one in mind with God, and share the same love God shared with us, and share the same concern God has towards us. And then we will be really becoming a true person who is truly representing God and truly attending God, a person who is truly one with God. And again, in the same pledge, we are again saying, we pledge to perfect the beautiful family way of filial sons and daughters in our family, patriots in our nation, saints in the world, and divine sons and daughters in heaven and earth. Actually, only in family pledge number 2, we repeat that saying, we pledge. The first we said, as the honor of eternal God, we pledge. Then again, we pledge something. Then again we say, we pledge. It's 2 pledge within one. Anyway, it's 1 pledge. But the term they use it 2 times in this family pledge number 2. And how can we become picture is
Do what the parents want.
do what the parents want. Yes. And that is, that's actually true. Do what your parents want. And many times, I understood earlier, Victor and Joy is smiling. Oh, sorry, Grace. And many times I get confused with the Joy and Grace. Sorry. A few weeks before I announce I usually contact with the daughter and mother, then instead of daughter's name, I announce mother's name. Anyway, filial piety, we usually understand as our love towards our parents and our artistic oneness with our parents. And it is not only towards our parents, and it is towards our ancestry and towards our love, our respect towards our ancestry. And when you have that, what do? And that's what the art of a filial son is, to really make his or her parents happy, and parents to allow them to be proud of that son, and also his ancestors to be proud of that child. And many times, I remember in my family, it wasn't just my father, it was sometimes I feel more than my father, my grandparents were concerned about me. And whenever I do some wrong thing, and my grandparents would come, even if I don't study well, my grandparents come and ask my father, not directly to me. They ask, my father's name is Jacob, and my grandfather, anyway, our colloquial term is called Chapo, and that's a synonymous name of Jacob in my language. Then my grandfather would come and ask, Chapo, what is he doing? And he doesn't scold me, he would scold my father. What are you doing? What's your son doing? He's not studying well. And today I saw he come back from school very late. And what are you doing? Then sometimes my father would get upset with me. Father would scold me. Then again my grandfather would say to him, what are you doing? Why you are scolding him? Don't scold him like that. Anyway, then I felt my grandfather loved me so much. That's why he wanted me to be really good, but he don't want me to be scolded by anyone. But later I understood this is for him. It is not about a person. It is about I am continuing his lineage. And he would sit me many times. I remember my grandfather would sit with me and talk about his father, his grandfather, his great-grandfather, and all the people. I remember 3 or 4 generations of names from my lineage, and we have a book talking about all lineage, and he would repeat that many times. Then later I understood this is his concern about the lineage, and about how his son is passing down the traditions of lineage to his son, transferring that to his grandchild. And that's why he is concerned. Then, while I was thinking about this second pledge, I felt this is something, this filial son means it is not just being about, oh my father, I love you so much. Of my parents, I love you so much. It is not just about saying that or showing that respect and love towards them. It is not only time is raising our physical children as well as our spiritual children properly so that they can understand the heart of heavenly parents. And that is the real filial part. And 2 days before, I was speaking to one of our member who doesn't come to church very often. He worked every Sunday. Every Sunday he worked. Even without a single Sunday he works. But I call him very often. I talk to him. He's a great father. I respect him so much. And he was talking to me. I called him around 8 p.m. in the evening this Friday. Then he's so busy in his workplace. Then he told me, Pastor Jacob, don't come off your phone. I want to talk to you. But I have a customer right now. Let me deal with him. He had suddenly 3 or 4 customers came in and then said, oh, I don't know, today I have so many customers, but don't hang up your phone. Then he was somehow talking about raising a filial child. I didn't really start talking about that, but he started talking. Life is tough, but I really enjoy, I'm raising my children for God and true parents. And I'm leading this life for past 41 years. And this is great. It is tough, but it is great. This is what I enjoy. This is what I can give to true parents and God. Then sometimes he would even, during his talk, he said, Pastor Jacob, I'm so sorry I cannot come to Sunday service, but I watch sermons on Facebook. I watch sermons on internet. And I love those sermons. I really want to be there physically. But I can't be. I feel like it is totally fine to be that way. The only thing is to understand what God and true parents want us to be doing. And then all the things we talking in this place, being a son who can understand that being a patriotic person and being saints in the world and everything is an extension of being a filial son and daughter of God, of being a filial son and daughter of a parent who understand God and true parents. And once we have that, it is everything will naturally come. And when we say that, I could just say this in few minutes, but it's a lifetime task. Sometimes when we raise our children, or when we try to raise our children as filial sons and daughters of God and true parents, sometimes we feel, oh God, I'm totally a failure in that. I'm totally a failure. I cannot do that. Why am I failing again and again? Why I'm not able to raise my children in a way according to God and true parents' teachings? And remember, this is not a single day thing. This is not something you can do in one day. This is not something you can do in 1 month or even up until now. Some of you might be raising your children for the last 20 years. I'm raising my children for the last, I think, 11, almost going to be 11 years. And some of you may be 30 years or even 40 years. But this is not ending like that. And none of your children become perfect like that. And saying like that, while children who are trying to inherit from your parents, from God and true parents directly by learning the scriptures. Sometimes children may even see some kind of maybe feel like hypocrisy in parents' life. But parents are they are trying their best to be the real embodiment of God and true parents. Even parents like we can't become like, we are not able to become perfect parents in one day. All of us are trying. The matter is, for parents and children, we understand each other. We commit that artistic unity towards each other. And we commit that, we as a family, we committed to the ideals. Our And once we committed to that, then everything will be perfect in one day. Then every day, we are taking smaller steps in our life. And once you do that, one day, you will be a great person who is totally embodying God and true parents. One day, we will be, actually, in today's, I think maybe today's or last week, in reading says that we are actually starting a journey which can take thousands of years. We are starting a new lineage which go up to thousands of years, up to eternity. And this is nothing simple. You know, I remember one Indian story about a person who went to become a monk. And there was this person who was in his, I think, late 20s. And he had a wife, he had some children. Then one day he thought, oh, living this kind of life is not really worthy enough. Let me go and become a monk who can really serve the world. He saw wonderful people who were helping other people. Then one day he went to a monastery, he met with the head monk. Then he said, Guru, I want to, in India people call monks as Guru. Guru means teacher. I want to be a monk. Can I join with this monastery? Then this monk had a conversation with him. Then asked him to come back later. Then he thought, oh, okay, maybe he need to come back a little later. And after a couple of years or something, I don't know exactly how long, he came back. Then again, this monk, elder monk, head of that monastery, had a talk with him. Then he said, oh, I'm very happy you are coming back to become a monk. Then he said, okay, you come back later. Then he again went back, and he was a little bit upset that time. Oh, I didn't like what he said, why he is not accepting me. I see all these people who are practicing to become a big shot monk, and I want to be one of them. Then, again after some years, he came back. Then, this monk had a long conversation with him. The third time, again, he went, asked him to go back home and asked him to come back later. This time he was so furious, but he thought, anyway, maybe next time I can come back. If I get upset, he may not allow me to join with the monastery, so better I don't talk anything. So he went back home. Then again came back after some years. Then this monk again talked to him. Really long discussion, long talk. Then monk again asked him to go back home. And this time he said, oh, he hates me. This monk who hates me, this elder monk, he really hates me. He would never allow me to be here. So there's no point of keeping my anger towards him, no point of keeping inside me. Let me explode. He was so angry and he said, you are not a real monk. You are just sitting here and you are just enjoying good life, not doing anything. You don't do anything. And you're just sitting here and sometimes teach other people. And that is so easy life. And now you are not allowing anyone to do that. You are not allowing to share that. You are truly a person who is selfish. I don't want to be with you. I will never come back. And he was so angry. Then he said, calm down, my son. I want to talk to you a little bit more. You came when you were even younger. And I talked to you. And you had a wife. And you have young kids. And what you were trying to do that time, you were trying to run away from that time. You didn't want to be a husband for your wife. And you didn't want to be a father for your children. That's to go back and I wanted you to fulfill your duties in your life and come back. Then again, when you came back, you still had the same attitude. You didn't fulfill anything. You never did any of your responsibilities as a husband and as a father of your children. Then still you are repeating that. And this is something you have to go step by step. And first you have to be a good husband to your wife and a good father to your children. Then you can be a good person to your society, your community, and your country, and everything you are trying to renovate. You didn't want to be a person, good person for your country. You didn't want to be in military, or you didn't want to be paying tax. That's why you want to renovate. You didn't want to work, and you didn't want to make any money which can support the community. And you are trying to renovate. And that's why you cannot be, you are not qualified to be a person. And to be a person, to be even go beyond, to be a patriot, you have to be a good person in. Then only by doing that, you can truly fulfill a person who can save the world, or person who can truly be a saint, reach that sainthood. And this is step by step. And you can never be from childhood to directly to monkship. You can't be that. And that's what he was saying that. But sometimes maybe we may be able to do that. Maybe even when we are a family person, we may be able to do even more bigger things. But what this monk is saying that you have to fulfill everything, every duties in your life. You cannot run away. And here, as I was reading this, thinking about this second pledge every day, I thought, oh, this is something really great. We are pledging that we will become truly one with God and true parents. We will become truly divine sons and daughters in heaven and earth. By fulfilling that is not really an easy task. And we have to really understand that. And same time, we have to really share that amazing love and amazing truth we inherited from God and true parents. And here I want to share one more Bible passage, which again from Apostle Paul. He shared with actually he was writing a letter to the Bishop Titus of Crete. He asked, in early church, all the Christians were called as saints. And he was, this Apostle Paul wrote to the Bishop Titus saying that it is, be ready for every good work. That's what Apostle Paul asked Bishop Titus to teach other people in his church. He said, remind them to be submissive to rulers and authorities, to be obedient, to be ready for every good work, to speak evil of no one, to avoid quarreling, to be gentle, and to show perfect courtesy towards all people. For we ourselves were once foolish, disobedient, led astray, slaves to various passions and pleasures, passing our days in malice and envy, hated by others and hating one another. But when the goodness and loving kindness of God, our Savior, appeared, He saved us, not because of works done by us in righteousness, but according to His own mercy, by the washing of generations and renewal, washing of regeneration and renewal of Holy Spirit. And here, saying that be really ready to do the good work. Continue the good work. And that way we can really become a person who is one with God. A person who is totally inheriting the mission and vision of God and true parents. And then keep on that good work. And never go back to that malicious life and never get influenced with that malicious culture. And again, Apostle Paul is saying that, but avoid foolish controversies. This is from early church. When Apostle Paul was guiding the early Christians, he said, avoid foolish controversies, genealogies, discussions, and quarrels about the law. But for they are unprofitable and worthless. As for a person who stirred up division, after warning him once and then twice, have nothing to do with him, knowing that such a person is confused and sinful. He is self-condemned. In the early Christianity, there were people who would sometimes make confusion among them. Make confusion saying that, oh, Christ was teaching that way, Christ was totally God, and Christ was totally human, and many, many things were going on in early Christianity. Here Apostle Paul is telling them, don't worry about that. Your duty is not to think about these controversies, not to worry about the genealogies, not to worry about all the bad things happening, and not to quarrel about the laws and among the teachings. And all those are unprofitable. This will never give you any good things, but never have anything to do with people who are doing that way. But do focusing on the good work you learn from God. The good work God is trying to do for everyone. Be an agent of good work for God. Be a mouthpiece of God so that you can truly, truly convey the essence of God, convey the essence of divine teachings to people. Yesterday we had a great wonder workshop, and several of our members, Reverend Romanian was teaching here, Mr. Rogers and Reverend Frato, and many of our members were supporting and helping and talking to people who were listening there. And this is the way you are conveying the teachings of God and true parents, and focus on that. And focus on bringing people to understand the heart of God. Don't focus on this quarrel. And that way we can truly become true sons and daughters of God, who totally be one with God. And brothers and sisters, today, as the conclusion of this second pledge, when you receive that every day in your home, or whenever you receive that, attending, when you pledge in front of God and true parents that we will attend God and true parents, remember, this is about your artistic unity with God, your artistic unity with true parents, how much you are artistically united with them, how much you are convinced and how much you are supporting God and true parents to establish their heavenly kingdom on this earth, how much we are really become and embody sons and daughters, and being a patriot, and being a saint in the world, and being divine sons and daughters of God and true parents is about how much we are practicing that in our life, and how much we are practicing that, how much we are trying to allow other people to see that in our life, and how much we are allowing other people to learn about this, how much we are passing that to other people, passing to our children, passing to our spiritual children. And that is all about this pledge number 2. Every day we recite. When you do that every day in your home, remember this. It's very simple. Be therefore in heart, be therefore God and true parents, and be a mouthpiece of God and true parents too. Say the truth to your children, sometimes maybe to your parents, and be there for other people. Be God and true parents for other people. Thank you so much. May God bless you. Have a wonderful evening.